All right, hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome back to the Double L Show, and today we are joined by a very special guest.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, I'm Samantha Giles. I currently play Bernice Blackstock in Emmerdale.
So today's conversation is spiritualism, writing, discussions about different subjects in Emmerdale, and then career advice, which should have been highlighted at the bottom. So I am very prepared, and I've just been talking to a ghost in my room with a pendulum because apparently something keeps going across the back of the screen every time that I'm on Zoom.
Yeah,
And
constantly.
I brought all my tarot cards. So I could have done a reading, but I don't think I'm very in tune with the spirits. So I will go to the questions. How long have you been in everything spiritual?
Oh, well, probably since I was a child, really. I guess we were brought up kind of in that way. I don't know, really. I was brought up in the countryside, and my mum was quite sort of witchy, I suppose. She used to say that she could read our hands and things like that. And so I've always been interested in those kind of things, yeah.
I'm like trying to read this at the same time. Lee's not going to contribute because he keeps asking us what certain crystals are, even though I mostly don't know every single crystal. Well, I think the second one's already been answered. Can you explain Wicca for those who don't know what it is?
Yeah, so Wicca is a form of paganism, really. So people call it a religion, but it's not really a religion. It's more a way of life or a set of beliefs and values. And all Wicca is kind of revering nature. So it's trying to live and celebrate the seasons, trying to eat according to what seasonal food there is. Going out and, so this time of year, we're just about to have spring equinox, which is on Monday, the 20th.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
so that's quite exciting because it's like, yeah, spring has begun then. And then you've got various Wiccan festivals throughout the year, which are celebrating. It's very similar to the Christian calendar, I guess, in that you're celebrating things like May Day, which would be called Beltane in Wiccan language, if you like. And then you've got the important equinox. So you've got the solstices. So you've got summer solstice, June the 21st, which is the longest day. So that's quite a massive festival. It's quite exciting because you've got the longest hours of light. And then you've got the winter solstice, which is 21st of December, so that's the shortest day. So it's celebrating all those different festivals, and you don't have to do magic or witchcraft or whatever you want to call it if you're a Wiccan. Some people do, some people don't. It's not a prerequisite. I don't tend to do very many spells now. Sometimes I do if say at the beginning of the year or something, or if I feel I want to try and focus in on certain goals. But I do make magic spell kits and sell them on my website, on my online shop. So to give people the tools to be able to create those kind of things themselves. And magic it's not dark magic. If you're a true Wiccan, there's no such thing as black magic or white magic. It's just magic, because the Wiccan law, if you like, is harm ye none. So if you were to do a dark spell, it basically is against all the rules of Wicca, and anything you do that's dark comes back on you ×3. So that's why if you're a Wiccan, you wouldn't really say, well, I'm a white witch. You just say I'm a Wiccan or I'm a witch. It's only for kind of the layman that you need to explain, well, it's not dark magic, because if you did dark magic, you'd know that it's going to come back on you ×3, so you just wouldn't go there. It's not what we do. It's about spreading positivity and joy, really, and happiness, and helping people have the tools to be able to change things about themselves or their life that they don't feel they could do on their own. But it's encouraging them to have that positivity.
Yeah, I'm kind of along them lines because I'm like the law of attraction, and I feel like I was destined to do that from the day I was born, because I was born on Samhain, the official day of
All
it,
right, okay.
and all of my birthday is all spiritual numbers that all just line up, and it just feels like that was my destiny. Although I drop in and out of it quite a bit because I have to be in a certain frame of mind, otherwise it just takes all the energy. But yeah, I celebrate quite a bit. I love mostly Halloween time, just getting all spooky, and yeah, that's mostly like my background. I usually read a lot of oracle cards, and not at the moment, but I'm gonna get back into it, I think, because I know that from an interview, which I didn't even know until the other day, that you've tried to learn how to read oracles / tarot.
Yeah, I've got tarot cards that I've had since I was about 18. The Morgan Greer ones. So mine are, yeah, you might recognize the pack.
I don't think I've seen them on
Yeah.
ones.
So this is the ones I learnt on as well, the Morgan Greer tarot. And I learnt to read tarot cards with this pack, and I still use this pack. I also have some what are they called? Akashic tarot cards, which are quite good. You can't really read them in the same way as these tarots. And I've got some angel cards, but for a more precise, if you want to do just a kind of answer a question, I think the angel cards are really good for that, just pulling out one card. But if you want to do a more in-depth reading, I think the tarot's good. But it doesn't always, the thing about tarot, it doesn't always tell you what you want to know. It will tell you what it wants to tell you. I think it has a life of its own. I think this is where sometimes you have to be a little bit careful with tarot, because it can play around with you if you're doing it too much, or if you're trying to do your own readings too much. They can play tricks on you.
Yeah, one of my friends, she also reads. I mean, these are my first deck, which I've had about 8 years now, and they're like my go-to. But my friend read my cards last year, and she went, a pre-warning, every single thing that I've ever predicted with these cards has happened. And funnily enough, every single thing that she's predicted happened, but usually in the bad way. And I kind of regret asking for a reading.
Yeah, maybe it's not a good time for you to have readings right now. Maybe you need to get further on with your life and be making decisions from the heart rather than decisions that maybe you've been told might happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'd done a reading the other night, but I just kind of, just to see if they still had the magic in them. I mean, there's that many to choose from. There's certain ones only work with certain other ones for some reason. So if I need an extra answer, I'll take 3 out of 1, and then sometimes I'll try the other deck and I'll just get the next answer on. Lee's got loads. He's been getting magazines and he's beat out everything. He's got about 18 decks now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Total Tarot. You can get them in kind of local shop, but like I do it from the website, and it's $15.98 for like the premium one, where you get all these kind of like gifts. Like you get like the biggest one gift they've sent us is a big kind of clump of like rose quartz.
Oh, nice.
And they send a deck each month, a different tarot deck. So I've got about 16 now.
Wow.
You're definitely going to need another shelf.
I'm going to.
Yeah. Do you believe in the law of attraction?
Yes, I do. I think it's very difficult though, because I think some people are naturally pessimistic, some people are naturally optimistic. And I think sometimes with any of these things, there's a danger of saying, well, your life's shit at the moment because you must have attracted that. And I think sometimes you can't always say that. Sometimes bad things happen for no reason, otherwise it's a really glib way of explaining why one person's had terrible things happen to them. It makes people feel as if it's their fault, and I think that's wrong. That's not always the case. I think generally speaking, if you look for rainbows, you'll see rainbows. If you look for crows, you'll see crows. But I think you can't always say that, oh, awful things happen to that person because they've attracted it, they've made it happen. I think that's a bit cruel.
Yeah, it's sometimes like a bit of both at times. Like sometimes the universe can work in your favor, and then sometimes it can just work against you. I mean, it was doing that yesterday. It just happened like to know something bad happened this time last year, and it just kept popping up memories on purpose of the exact same thing to remind us. And I'm like, yeah, thanks for that. Like, I much appreciate that one. It just works how it wants, essentially. But other times it's nice.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that a lot of people in the industry are actually quite spiritual?
Yes and no. I think generally, yeah, a lot of the women are, not so many men. I suppose it's more of a female thing, generally speaking. I don't know. I think there's a mixture, and I think this is just because this is life. So I think there's a mixture. Some people are spiritual, and some people are very shallow. And you get that in my business, but you get that probably in any business, really.
Yeah.
I think actors in general are more open, and we'll excuse me, have very personal conversations with people that we're working with quite quickly. So we'll be talking about things in the green room, having only known each other a couple of days, that probably someone that works in a bank would never discuss with their colleagues, but that's just the nature of our business, because you have to, you become vulnerable quite quickly. You're stripping down, you're opening yourself up. So that's how that happens, I guess.
Yeah, we've noticed that because we were filming a short film yesterday, and everyone, like, we didn't know each other in the room. None of us really know each other, and then we're like best friends coming out by the end of the day, and it's just like, what was that?
Yeah.
It was a weird experience. Have you had any spiritual experiences, i.e. ghosts, premonitions, things along them lines?
When I was quite young, a little girl, I had this waking dream, which I think was an astral projection dream. I had a friend, my best friend had moved to Hong Kong, and I woke up in the night and I was totally awake. Yeah, it was also like a dream, but it was totally awake. I was totally awake, and my great grandmother that was dead, sort of, I saw her out the window, and she came into the room with this man, and I can remember her saying, "This is Mr." and I can never remember what his name was, and I've never met him before. And she said, "Come on, we're going to go and see Vicky." And she took my hand, and we flew out the window, and we flew to Hong Kong. It sounds absolutely bonkers, but and then we kind of had a look at my friend, and obviously a different time zone and everything there. And then we came back, and it was weird because I convinced that it was a spiritual visitation from the ghost of my great gran, and that we did astrally project, and it felt totally normal. And it was a lovely thing to have been able to do, because I was really missing my friend, because she was there for 4 years, and it was quite an age where I was about 10, I think. And so it was that age where you really need your friends around you, and they're very, very important to you, your close friends. So I think that's one of the biggest spiritual experiences I've ever had.
That is actually pretty cool. I never get things like that. I usually get ghosts visiting us, and I get one specific ghost who always kind of comes back because she wants to show us something, and I still don't know her name, but I keep getting like loads of random names in my dreams of like spirits, and I still can't figure out who it is.
Just write them down, it all down.
It's weird. Some people said it's like it's a demonic thing, and I'm like, oh no, I was like, I don't want that. I mean, it's a very spiritual area where I live. There's like a park that all of it's pretty much built on like a monastery, so there's just ghosts everywhere essentially.
If it was demonic, it would be kind of trying to lure you into a sense of security, so it could actually do some harm. So if it normally the hide under the guise of kids, like young girls or something, to try and gain your trust, and then they'll kind of attach onto you. So I would be careful if you think it is kind of a young child.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think she was about my age. Yeah.
Which area? You're in the northeast, yeah?
Yeah, Sunderland.
Sunderland.
Yeah, but like where I am, it's got so much history, like beyond. I don't think other areas have as much as here. But yeah, I've seen like a monk, I've seen loads of different things, people in Victorian outfits. It's just a really weird one. I'm glad I kind of know about it because I never did, because I never lived in this area. So coming here and then everyone's saying, oh, this is haunted, and I didn't believe it, but then I believe the park's haunted, not the house. Yeah, there's a big mansion which everyone thinks is haunted, but it's literally not.
All right.
Yeah. Have you done a full moon cleansing ritual?
I do lots of rituals on full moons. It's a great time to do a spell or to put something out there that you know, some sort of positive affirmation, because it's so powerful. Even more powerful, obviously, if there's a storm as well. I think that's the most powerful time to do magic, isn't it? Storms.
I've never known that.
Your intentions travel quickly in a storm, so you're getting it out there much, much quicker.
I'm definitely
It's the
going to do
high
that when
energy
there's
for storms.
Mm.
Yeah. A lot of paranormal activity does increase if there's like a thunderstorm because of all the energy in the
I thought
atmosphere.
that was a stereotype from horror movies.
No, it is true.
It's true,
That
but
is
like it is a stereotype, but at the same time it is true.
Mm.
So
What is your favourite celebration of the year?
I don't know really. I think probably summer solstice. I feel it's a very magical time. I suppose because it's also around when the sun moves into Cancer, which is my star sign, Cancer. So maybe it's to do with that as well, because it's always quite a positive time of year. And I do love the summer, and June is probably my favourite month. So yeah, I find I've always wanted to go down to Stonehenge for summer solstice. I've never yet done it. Maybe one day.
It's so bad, but I don't even know where Stonehenge is.
So it's okay. It's kind of in the west near Somerset,
Right.
southwest.
Okay. I've got like no chance of getting all the way there, but I
It's
probably will at some
quite
point.
a long way, but you can't really get to, you know, close to Stonehenge because it's all cordoned off and everything. But it's like a traditional place where lots of hippies and, you know, pagans and whatnot will go to celebrate summer solstice. So I would love to do that one day.
I'm gonna add that to my bucket list. Do you have a favourite crystal? And I can't ask that because that is such a bad idea. I've got that many.
Well, do you know what? I think my favourite crystal, since I've got it up here, is moldavite. And it's quite expensive.
I've heard of it.
It's very powerful, and a lot of people can't use it. It's like a green, dark green colour. My piece is about like that. I don't know where it is actually. It's somewhere around. And it is. It's quite powerful. It's supposed to be a very transformative stone that lots of people can't use because it's too powerful. But I get quite excited when I hold it. It's definitely worth getting a piece to try, but I do really like that. But that's made me realise I've got to find where it is actually and start using it a bit more.
Yeah, they start disappearing. That's what I've noticed. If you want to find it, it's just not there. But you can't really get moldavite as much up here because there was a TikTok trend, so everyone went and bought it. They just bought it out in bulk, essentially, and nobody could get it.
Oh, how weird.
Yeah, and then people regretted buying it because loads of stuff started happening that they didn't want and they couldn't stop it.
Yeah, maybe you know spiritually when it's the right time to have it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a thing. If people see on TikTok that it's a trend, they'll buy it no matter what, and they don't really know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, just TikTok's a weird place, really is. Okay. Well, I don't even know what this means. It just says Oracle cards question, clairvoyance question. What was that?
I'm not a clairvoyant, so yeah, don't know.
I should write context, but I'm clairvoyant. I got told that when I was around 18. I mean, it kind of made sense in a way because loads of premonitions started happening, and I hate when I get a premonition because I'm like, I don't want to see this right now. And
How old are you now?
23. And I've seen like loads of stuff. One time I got contacted by my dead great uncle, and he told us that my auntie was going to die, and that was his wife. And she later died 3 months later after being told. And I told my family that, and I've got it wrote down. And I'm like, that is so weird.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's what I usually see, destruction and things like that.
Well, maybe you need to do some meditations on asking for positive messages and not darker ones.
Yeah.
You don't want the responsibility of having been told something horrible, but it's quite nice to be given something pleasant, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever had any pleasant things. I usually get told the destructive kind of things, but I'd rather know them in a way if they're going to happen than not know them, because then I can just try and avoid.
Mm.
Okay. Do you know a lot? What this like? I swear I can't write. Did you know a lot became spiritual because of Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I like Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, quite like some of their music.
I think it was because of American Horror Story, because Stevie Nicks guest starred on it, and everyone was like, who was this? And then they just got into it.
Your age group wouldn't know Fleetwood Mac, would you?
I love Fleetwood Mac. They're like my go-to, but I'm still kind of not listening to them after Christine died.
I know,
was
that was
just
terrible,
sad.
wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't think I'd felt upset like that in a while. It was like losing a friend.
Mm.
On to the next topic, which is writing, and I'm going to let Lee speak because he's been writing. Well, I don't know if he's been writing longer than I have.
You've been writing, I think, a lot longer.
Really?
Yeah, I
Thanks
didn't
for making
start
us
at
feel
11 or
old.
12. I didn't start at 11 or 12.
Okay, so I'll ask one question, then I'll go to you. What made you venture into writing?
Well, I always done a bit, and funny enough, I found something today that I'd written when I was about 13, and then I wrote a lot of poetry, but I never thought about writing a book, a novel, until I was about 2016, 2017, I think I wrote my first children's book, and it just came to me, this dream. I've always liked words, obviously, and stories, because that's why I'm an actor. And then I had this dream about these witch characters, and I thought, oh, I've got to write this book. And I wanted to put my kids in it as main characters, and my eldest daughter's friend that she had at school. So there's 3 main characters, like Rosemary, Lois, and then Rosemary's best friend, Addie, who's an Indian heritage boy that she's at school with. Well, I think he might be autistic in the book. I didn't kind of write with that intention. I just wrote this character, and then lots of people said to me afterwards, oh, he's autistic, isn't he? And I kind of hadn't thought about labeling him like that, but I suppose, yeah, he is neurodiverse in some way. Anyway, so I wrote this story, and I wrote it kind of based on my husband as well, because he suffers with depression, but he's in denial about it. And so I wrote what I hope is quite a magical, thrilling book for kids, and it's kind of got lots of things in it from my children's childhood and things that we've always done. And so once I'd done it, I didn't kind of plan to have it published or plan to try and get it published, because that is so hard, that journey. And then in the end I thought, oh, do you know what, I think it's quite good, I'm going to try and get an agent. So that was a massive road of trying to get a literary agent. So difficult. Anyway.
Oh God, I've got no hope in that then.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. It's just perseverance, really. It's perseverance, and it's a bit of luck. Anyway, so I did eventually get a literary agent, and she loved the book, and said, oh yeah, definitely get it. We worked quite a lot on it, editing and so on, and then she was absolutely convinced that she was going to get a great publisher. Got turned down everywhere. Wow. And eventually a small publisher published it in 2020, and then I did book 2, Rosemary and the Book of the Dead, and that got published a year later. And I have finished the 3rd and final book, but unfortunately the publishers have basically, well, they're not publishing anything now apart from digital crime. So although I had a contract for the third book, obviously that's not going to be published by them. And again, it's been sent round, you know, the series, because lots of publishers, it's a really weird world, publishing world. Lots of publishers don't want to publish something which is halfway through a series, you know, because it means that they would have to republish the first 2 books and then launch the third one, and they just don't want to put the money into it. They don't want to take the risk, I guess. I don't really know. They don't want to touch it because someone else has had it first. And so I'm back to square one, because I've got no publisher now for that final book. And yet I've got people that have read the first 2 that are saying, oh, when's the third one going to come out? You know, the final one. So that's quite frustrating. So I've just changed literary agents to someone else, because I think that they'd kind of lost, you know, they'd kind of given up, my literary agent. So I found a new literary agent, and he's just sent out a new book that I've written, a standalone book. So he's submitted that to publishers, and I've just got to keep my fingers crossed that someone will pick that up. But, you know, it's quite tough. So even when you think that you've had success, because that first Rosemary book went bestseller on Amazon and did really well for a debut book, especially the fact that I'd got such a small publisher. And yet here I am again, you know, back to square one. So I think it's just that it doesn't matter where you appear to be, from other people look at you and go, oh, that person's got this, this and this. But actually we all have our times, don't we, where it all just goes wrong and you think, oh God, what do I do now? But you just got to keep going. It's really tough, but that's all you can do.
Yeah, it's quite like that with TV shows at the moment, because you've got a lot of them getting cancelled halfway through, and then you've got other broadcasters then picking it up for like a final season, and then they can't get the rights to the rest of it, and it's like that back and forth. It's very strange at the moment, very strange times.
Yeah, they are actually.
Lee, your turn.
Well, my questions are very different. My question's all about Emmerdale.
Oh, right. Okay, I guess I was the one who decided to put writing out there. This is what happens when we don't always share questions. I think some of them have already been answered. What inspires you to write? Because a lot of people have like techniques of how to write and where the ideas eventually come from.
I do have lots of ideas going around, and then I sort of let them stew a bit, you know, let them soak in my head a bit. And then if I really can't stop thinking about one particular idea, then I kind of know that's the one to be writing. So at the moment I'm writing, have you heard of Aleister Crowley?
No.
So
I think I have, yeah.
He was like actually he's a really horrible, scary man, he was. But he kind of was known as the beast, if you like. He sort of started off dabbling in the occult and witchcraft, I mean dark magic, and he was quite a dangerous, scary person. And for a while he lived in a place near Loch Ness called Boleskine House, and he was a real debauched evil character, and he tried to do this, and what he's famous for, I suppose, is he tried to do this ceremony type thing, where he was determined to try and meet his guardian angels. So on the surface it sounds like he's trying to do something quite nice, but it was called Abramelin magic, and what you had to do in order to supposedly meet your guardian angels, you had to summon all these dark spirits, and part of that summoning, like the devils and the devil's dukes and so on and so forth. And then by summoning them, you then make them conform to your will, and then you send them all back. Anyway, it's quite a complicated procedure, and he did this in Boleskine House in Scotland. And then what happened was he got interrupted supposedly halfway through the ceremony. It's quite a long, drawn-out ceremony, and he never sent the dark spirits back. So there were all these sort of rumours that terrible things were happening around Loch Ness, and that he'd released all these beasts and so on and so forth. His wife was an alcoholic. She went mad, really. I think his wife Rose, who was married to this woman Rose, and one of their daughters died very young. Anyway, so I'm writing this story because the house is fascinating, and it's been owned by lots of different people. It was owned by a rock star after him, and lots of people that owned this house near Loch Ness have had bad things happen to them. And then the house has had quite a few fires, and it burnt down, and it's now owned. You can actually Google it. So Boleskine House, it's spelled Boleskine, and it's run by this charitable trust now, this man that's trying to rebuild it. And I think you can go on little tours around there. They're gradually rebuilding it, and it's right on the shore of Loch Ness and everything. Anyway, so I thought, I want to write a story that goes back in time a bit to when he lived there, Alistair Crowley, and then some kids that have just moved in maybe with their parents modern day. And so that's what I'm writing about at the moment. Sorry, I'm really waffling, aren't I? Anyway,
It's fine, it's okay.
So I'm writing about that at the moment. Yeah,
that is so interesting.
Really does sound good.
We love like dark things. We just
Yeah.
like love horror and ghosts and everything along them lines. Don't even know where it came from, but yeah.
I think we like being scared, don't we? People like being scared.
Yeah, never really get scared anymore, which is a shame. I feel like everything's not as scary. You just kind of grow out of it sometimes. I just wish I could be scared. Although one thing did scare us, and that was that movie Fall, but only because I don't like heights.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's
a
on
good film.
Netflix.
I like it.
It's where two girls climb up the biggest tower in America and the ladder falls off. So they're stuck up there, essentially.
Oh,
it was just so scary.
And this 2,000-foot tall radio tower.
Yeah.
And there's like not much room to move at the top. So yeah, they're really desperate to try and get help, and everything they try to do just feels.
Oh.
And then it turns out one of them died, and she just thought she was alive the entire time.
Oh my God.
It was something else completely. Do you prefer to write in one place or to like travel and write?
I can do both. I mean, I do like being in my little office writing, but I get very twitchy. So if I'm on a real roll, I can write anywhere. I can take my tablet and everything, and I can write on a train or go to a cafe and do a bit of work. I think sometimes it can be a bit isolating if you haven't got any acting work going on and you're just doing the writing. That's when I like to go out somewhere else. You know, just before lockdown, when I was writing, and I wasn't doing any acting work, I used to go every day to a cafe just for an hour and like have a coffee and do like an hour's work, and just having that buzz around me and knowing that there were other people around, it sort of helped me. It got me into a little routine.
Yeah, it's very productive. That's what I've learned, because when I started like writing and potentially reading the scripts, because usually when I write I never read it. Lee's the one who always reads my work, and if I take it somewhere else I'm more like actively working, whereas if I'm just like in the house I end up watching telly for hours and then think, oh yeah, I was supposed to write that, or I was supposed to read that. It just happens, really. Would you ever try screenwriting?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I've just downloaded Final Draft, the thing that you have to use for screenwriting. So I just need to have an idea really that I think would really work, or you know, I'm not there yet, but yeah, I probably will do at some point.
Yeah, it's quite hard to like form ideas, because sometimes you're just like, that's actually a good idea, and then when you go to like write something it's just blank. Sometimes you just get the title or a line and then that's about it. I can't say anything about writing. I just leave mine halfway through and hope for the best. I know you've said about your books being a movie in the past. Have you thought about writing them yourself?
I have. I don't really have much incentive at the moment. If somebody said to me, yeah, we want to do it, can you adapt it? Then that would give me that incentive. Sometimes it's hard to do that if you think, what's, you know, it's not going to happen, I suppose. But yeah, maybe in the future I will.
Yeah. If you could write an episode of a TV show, which one would it be?
I don't know, because I don't really watch much TV. I don't know. I can't really answer that.
What about movies? I don't know. That's probably worse. There's more movies.
Yeah, I'd probably be more likely to write like a fantasy type thing.
What's your advice to new writers?
I think you've just got to sit down and write, you know, and editing and self-editing is really important. Going over your work, not being afraid to leave it for a few days and come back to it, and then edit. I remember a really good piece of advice, especially with children's books, is, it probably does work for adults as well, you know, make sure that the story is being told, that there's not a load of superfluous waffle in there. Every chapter needs to move the story along.
Yeah, that's what it's kind of like with writing, because sometimes you just go overboard and start writing like loads of random scenes, and then when it gets to the end, you're like, oh, what is the point in that? And then you just end up scrapping loads, and then it ends up totally different story, but then when you look at it again, you're like, actually it works better. Okay, Lee's been waiting since the beginning to hear this story that I remembered the other day. Where the Heart Is. That was the discussion topic. And I watched it. I probably wasn't allowed to watch it, but I did watch the odd few episodes, and I did remember when Sally died. And I was giving him hints earlier. I was devastated so much I named my Tamagotchi Sally. And then yeah. And then Sally fell down a drain and died.
Oh dear, that's terrible.
Yeah. I was like, I remembered it. I'm like, wow, fate. Yeah. I had to literally try and watch some episodes on ITVX, but it kept shutting down every time I tried to watch.
Oh.
So I'm like, I've got like little bits and pieces of what I remember, but then I don't know if it was actually real or if it was all in my head. What was it like working on that show? Because I know you came in like quite late, so I can imagine it's hard to like.
I think I did series 7, 8, and 9. I did.
And then one episode in 10, apparently.
Yeah, well, no, I wasn't in 10, so I think they maybe used my voice or something, because that was the last series, and then it was axed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In series 10. I really loved doing that show. Really, really loved it. I had my most favorite screen husband, Andrew Paul. Just a brilliant actor, really great man. Really liked him. We got on well, and I loved working with Keith Barron, who's sadly dead now. He played my father-in-law, you know.
Yeah.
And I met Leslie Dunlop, who's a good friend, and it was just such a brilliant time. I mean, it was a part of Yorkshire I didn't really know West Yorkshire, because Emmerdale is, Leeds, really. So going to a different part of Yorkshire, which was quite bleak actually around there, but beautiful. And I loved it because it was the challenge of doing the accent, and it was great because we'd film about 5 months of the year, and then the rest of the year you could do other jobs or whatever. So, and it was filming through the winter as well, which was good because, it's a great then to have the summer when you're doing other things or you're at home.
Yeah, I would hate that, only because I don't like the winter because I'm always cold.
Yeah, it was absolutely freezing. I've never known cold like it.
Like, you could kind of tell by like the cinematography, like you could just tell that it was winter just because the shots looked quite dark in a way, and gloomy.
And also it was done on film, and not many things were done on film then. And obviously, it was filmed so expensive. So that was great as well, the fact that it was done on film and not on tape.
Yeah, I feel like back then there's like something so good and pure about the TV shows that can't be replicated now. I don't know what it is. It's like the grainy footage kind of gives off like a vibe.
Yeah.
We were talking about this yesterday when Lee wasn't present. I don't know what topic to move on to. Emmerdale. I didn't watch last night because I forgot it was on. Question is where to begin, and I think both me and Lee were curious because I go off Twitter for say an hour and something always goes down, and I came on and I'm like, neurodiverse thread about Bernice, and I'm like,
Oh yes,
what?
yeah. I know. I just shared it because I thought it was quite interesting. Somebody had said that they thought, I think they're autistic, and they said that they thought Bernice could well be autistic, and they gave the reasons. And I just thought it was quite interesting. I mean, I think she could be, but I think you also have to remember that soap characters are always quite heightened in a way, aren't they? It's sort of heightened reality soap opera, and I think the characters are a bit heightened as well, so exaggerated, you know, but she might be, you never know.
Yeah, it was a weird one because I'm autistic, and it's weird because you can, as like someone who is autistic, you can somehow see all of the traits in other people. I mean, Lee, I just knew he was autistic from the day I met him, and I told him the other month. I mean, yeah, and I was right essentially. So
Basically,
it's
you were.
just a weird one. I feel like when it comes to like autistic coded characters, that's what it's really called, when you don't know if someone is or not. They are so much more accurate than the actual autistic characters. It's been a theme.
Really? Yeah.
It usually reflects so bad on us eventually when they're just like, oh, let's make an autistic character and just do no research. And you're like, thanks, much appreciate that one. Because it always comes back to bite somebody. And usually it's the ones who have it. Yeah. Lee, do you want to ask questions?
So the first one I've got is, how did you get the role of Bernice in the first place?
So I was put up for the role of Trisha. I don't know if you remember Trisha in it.
I do.
Played by Sheree Murphy. She was Alan Turner's great granddaughter or something. And I went up for that role, and I didn't obviously get it. I had to do a screen test with Billy Hartman that played Terry, because I think she came in and had a relationship with Terry, and I was devastated. But then very quickly after, they said they really liked my audition, and they wanted to write another character for me. So they wrote this character, Bernice Blackstock, and I just was given about 4 episodes, I think. And I thought, oh, that's great. You know, I've just got 4 episodes. Wasn't expecting it to be anything more than that. So I did the 4 episodes, and I think my character came in to temporarily manage the bar when it was moved from the Woolpack to the village hall. And I had a great time because it was some really well-written stuff, because she was quite a strong character. And then I got this call that they wanted me to come back and do 3 months. So I was absolutely over the moon, and I didn't have any expectations, but they just said 3 months with a 3-month option and then a 6-month option. So they ended up picking up all the options, and the character just grew and grew. And I was just, I was so fortunate, because up until that point, I'd been really struggling financially. You know, I was living in London. I was hardly getting any acting work, and I was doing temp work and waitressing and cleaning and anything really, just to earn money.
Do you think Bernice has shown empathy a lot more than before?
I think it varies with her. She's not a very good mum. I think she's quite good with other people's children. You know, the story where she's been quite supportive to Kathy with her periods and everything. But I think she can do that more easily because she's not got an emotional connection with Kathy. Whereas with her own children, she's always comes over as quite selfish and self-centered. I think, as I say, it depends. Sometimes she's great, and then sometimes she just kind of has this empathy bypass.
Lee, do you want to ask anything? Because my questions are pretty much like very open, and there's going to be lots of long answers.
So try to get the simple ones here. Were you a fan of Emmerdale before you landed the role?
I hadn't really seen it, to be honest. I probably watched Coronation Street more because my first TV job had been an episode of Corrie. in about I think it was about 1993 or something like that. And so I probably watched that more. Obviously I did start watching it, you know, when I, you know, knew that I was going to go up for the role of Trisha, and I did get into it. I think, you know, I mean, I don't really watch any television much now. I don't have time to sit and watch any of the soaps really, but I can see how they do suck you in.
How does it feel to be in an iconic queen category of characters?
Is that what I'm in?
Well, in my category anyway, and it should be like an honour to be in there.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm really lucky that the character is quite a strong character, isn't she? So she's probably like Marmite. People either really like her or can't stand her. Yeah, I just think I get some great lines sometimes, which I really enjoy playing. And I think putting her with Bob is a really good move, because I think that they work quite well together actually.
Career advice. What would be your advice to actors, new ones?
Well, I think you have to be absolutely sure it's the only thing you want to do, because it's one of the most tough businesses ever. And I think you just have to have that inner confidence, if you like, know that you're good enough, and that confidence and that tenacity, determination, because there's an awful lot of rejection all the time, you know, that you go up for jobs. You know, even when you think, oh, I've got more of a profile now, I'll get work. It just doesn't work like that. I don't really know how it works. All these years in the business, and I still don't understand it. And you go, and it's luck, you know, sometimes you go through lucky patches, sometimes you don't. I think you've just got to keep, you know, be on time, don't be late, know your lines, and smile and be nice to everybody. And I think that's the best advice. Don't get too cocky. Don't expect things to be done for you, and just watch all the time and learn. That's the biggest thing, just watching people, because it helps you in terms of characters. But also, if you're new to a TV set, it can be really daunting, and you just got to watch, and that's the way you pick up what to do and how to behave as well from some of the old pros, you know.
Yeah, I definitely need that advice, because
That's
it's
very
my
good
first
advice.
big TV show later this year, which it will be a big TV show. It's not right now. It's hard to explain.
Okay, great.
Yeah. How do you learn lines like in bulk, because it's very, very hard?
Just repetition really. And I kind of, when I look at the scene first, I think, what's the scene actually about in a nutshell? What's my character trying to say, just so that, you know, you've got it in your head. Because then if you do ever dry or you get completely lost, at least you know what the thrust, if you know what the thrust of the scene is and what your character is meant to be doing, then you can always make something up. But yeah, it is a lot of repetition. Yeah. Oh, great. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really nice to meet you both.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye.